Hi there, folks, and welcome to Down to Earth. My name is Eric Edelman. I'm your host for tonight. And over the last few weeks, we've been talking about how different parts of astronomy affect us down here on Earth. Things like dark matter to shuttle launches to anything in between, really. But today, we're actually going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to be talking about, or actually with somebody who has taken astronomy into their own hands as a form of creative expression. Today, I will be talking with Lucy West, who has made an incredible decades-long career out of painting the universe. She's a member of the IAAA, the International Association of Astronomical Artists, and has done work for NASA, museums, and more. And it is really my honor to welcome her to the program this evening. Thank you so much for joining us here, Lucy.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, it's great to have you here. And so, just to sort of give our audience an establishing sort of view of what you do, could you tell us a little bit about the type of art that you create?
It's considered space art, and I take my interest in astronomy, space exploration, all things space, the cosmos, and all the science behind it, and all the awe and wonder, and I put it on canvas to share with the world, and hope that I get to share my enthusiasm that way, and maybe even spark some interest to people that haven't even considered astronomy yet.
And yeah, that's wonderful because it really aligns with what we do here at Slooh too, just trying to give an access point to somebody who maybe wants to be inspired by the night sky. And what we're actually looking at next to our two talking heads is the live view from the all sky from the Slooh Observatory, seeing sort of the night sky with the Milky Way sort of right dead in the center there. And looking at something like this with so many different pinpricks of light in the sky really brings to mind, at least for me, how much potential there is out there for things to choose from, to create, to paint, and really a whole universe out there of galaxies, of stars, of incredible phenomena that happen. So in terms of doing space art, how in the world do you go about choosing what it is that you want to paint?
That's a great question. Since the event of the Hubble Space Telescope, the phenomenal images that have hit the public, it blows me away. And of course, that's a huge inspiration. I also look at the night sky. I live in a very dark area, and I see the Milky Way just as if it's right there in my face, and that really inspires me. And I study astronomy through my own telescope and through my friends who are astronomers, their images, and all the publications that are online. And I have a list that would last 3 lifetimes to accomplish what I want to paint. But eventually you just got to get into the one that's really talking to you right at that moment, because it usually takes me maybe 6 weeks to 3 months to finish one of these pieces. It's a large scale canvas, a lot of research goes into it, and then I spend a long time in front of that canvas. So I better love what I'm painting, before I start it.
Yeah, wow, like 3 to 6 months. That's an incredible amount of work you're putting into these. And we're actually seeing one of your works here on the screen, Dancing with Fire, a beautiful image of the sun here. And it's really, so how do you start, like, for example, for this work here, what you got you started on the journey of creating this? Was there a certain event that inspired you, or is this just something that popped into your head after researching different things that were happening in astronomy? Like, where did this piece come from?
Well, I can say that it was the Venus transit in 2012. I was watching that live streaming on Griffith Observatory. But all the months prior to that, I'd really gotten into exoplanet research, and Kepler was absolutely blowing my mind. So I had a stack of references that I wanted to focus on and come up with an exoplanet piece. And this is really my interpretation of an exoplanet, orbiting its host star very closer than our Mercury does to our sun. And I call it Dancing with Fate, because that's exactly what this little planet is doing.
Oh yeah, and it's great to see. There's just so much detail that I can see that you've put into it. Absolutely mind blowing. And so, since you
Thank you.
have that huge list of objects that you really would be interested in painting, is there a certain way that you narrow that down, that you end up deciding what exactly you're going to end up creating from day to day?
That's a great question. It will depend on if I have an important show coming up, or if I have an important client, or if it's my own inspiration. Um, Whatever is really talking to me that's being published, currently, is usually the thing that's grabbed my attention. I stockpile images as I research online, and I've got tons of folders worth of images, and sometimes I'll go through that and go, oh yeah, that one, and it might spark a literal interpretation of that, or I'll just look at that and it'll be inspiration for a conceptual piece like you have on the screen here. This is Embers of Exploration and Enlightenment, and I also like to study our ancient ancestors, and so this is me combining those two themes together. Uh,
And
if that helps answer that.
oh, yes, it does. And I mean, seeing this image here, sorry if I seem distracted. I just am loving the images that we have on the screen that we can see here that you've
Thank you.
created. And so, in terms, you're saying yes, the combination of just the imagination and also the astronomy, the physical object itself. And so,
Yeah.
is there a way that you end up striking a balance, say, between sort of the facts that you're reading about, the research that you're putting into these pieces, versus the imagination and inspiration part, the creativity that you try to maybe meld into these pieces? Do you find that you are more in tune or pretty religious about making sure it's scientifically accurate, or do you find that there's a really strong importance in making sure that you're expressing creatively what you want to express? Is there a certain balance there that you strike?
Absolutely, that's a great question. I do want to be scientifically correct, even in these conceptual pieces that I'm doing. But I also want to touch the human chord in people. I want them to experience the night sky and the cosmos the way it affects me emotionally, the way it affects me mentally and intellectually, and humanly. And so I really do strive to not just do scientific illustrations, but I want to tell my story. I want to communicate this excitement and this love, and connect with people on that same level.
And so, in terms of connecting with people, I've heard that you're part of the IAAA, the International Association of Astronomical Artists, and so a community of people that maybe find importance in this sort of endeavor. And could you maybe tell us a little bit about what it's like to be part of this community of artists that are so inspired by the universe?
It's been the best event in my life as an artist. All the years prior to joining that association, I was just a lone ranger. I was always by myself. I wasn't connected to a group of other artists, and I didn't have sounding board and that sort of thing. When I joined that group, it was like walking into another universe and having minds of like-mindedness to talk things over with sounding board. And a lot of our members are professional scientists and astronomers, and have worked in with people like Carl Sagan, or just amazing, talented, big hitter people. And so to have them at my access to talk to has really opened up where my art is going, and how I research. It's helped how I research as well.
And oh, if we could go back to that previous image that was just on the screen,
Sure.
M101. So
Yeah.
we actually have live on the Slooh telescopes from the Canary Islands. We have M101 coming in as well. So just I think there's this amazing balance that we can strike here between the M101 that you painted and the M101 that's coming in live from the scope. So we have the real photons that are hitting the telescope coming to our screen, and also this expression, this artistic expression. I think there's this amazing balance here, and just beautiful
Wow.
comparison that we can strike.
That was a wonderful thing you just did there. Interviews, I could get a little nervous just before being interviewed, but you immediately you had those pictures of the stars, the Milky Way, and then you showed that. I was like, I'm just so calm now, because that's my universe. That's where I find all my comfort and excitement. So thanks for doing that.
Oh, I'm so glad you're happy here. And yeah, I also heard in terms of the IAAA as well that there's an event coming up October 16th around that you're going to be part of the Division of Planetary Science Congress. There's going to be sort of an exhibition going on in Pasadena, California. Is that something that if people are interested in art like this, that they could go see?
Oh yeah, it will be open to the public a portion of the time that Congress is going on, and luckily the artists that are exhibiting there. I get to attend the talks, which is another way that I do my research. I'm very excited about that. And a lot of the IAAA members that are kind of in that area of the country will be there exhibiting as well. So whoever shows up can meet and talk with them, and it's very exciting.
That's wonderful. And I also got to say, we have another point of comparison here with Europa and Jupiter. We have live on the Slooh scopes as well. Jupiter going on in Chile as well. So both hemispheres coming up with the telescope network, and just able to compare live to the work that you put in here with your amazing artistry that you put onto this canvas. And so we see sort of a second, like a second shot of just the Jupiter just coming in, but then all the work that you put in here that makes these objects really come to life. Like we see them a little bit more at a distance with the live scopes, but you've really brought them home, brought them a little closer to us with just all the work that you put in and the incredible artistic expression that we're able to see here on the
Thank
screen. It's
you.
absolutely wonderful to experience.
Thank you. That's so kind
And
of you.
oh, of course, yeah. I would just very much appreciate that you can share these with us. And so you've had a really long career with this astronomy art. You've been doing it for quite a while, a few decades, and during which you've become involved, like you were mentioning, with a lot of different incredible people in the IAA and in NASA as
Mhm.
well. And I was wondering if you could share with us if there was any time that you were able to meet somebody from the astronomical community through this work that you do that really just inspires you, that you were just excited to meet this person.
Gosh, there's so many of the people that have inspired me. I'm so lucky. And the heroes, like the moonwalkers, the people that actually work with the Hubble images, those people, meeting them after using all this stuff as reference and inspiration for all these years and getting to meet them and talk with them and befriend them has been unbelievable and unexpected. I chose to do this line of art because I love it and because it speaks to me. It enriches my life. And then to meet those people that kind of spawned this is indescribable. There's no way to describe, how lucky I feel and how much that has inspired me more.
And yeah, I mean, it must be amazing to just be so involved with the people that are connecting astronomy and artistry. And so, as maybe a to try and maybe involve our more creative members here in the Slooh community, do you maybe have any advice for people that might be wanting to express themselves about the universe in a way that is creative, that is something that, it ties into their emotions about the universe?
Great question. My very first advice to upcoming creatives is to don't worry about making mistakes. That's going to be your best teacher. In fact, deliberately make them and learn from them. And a painting is just a painting until it's completed and you realize it's something special. So go ahead and make those mistakes, throw them away. If you're not happy with it, start over and train yourself that way. Also, um, follow the art that you admire and study it and let yourself emulate that artist if that's the person that's inspiring you. If you're in your training stage, go ahead and emulate that, but then eventually find your own voice. That's so important. And when you find your own voice, tell the story well and uniquely. You only get a few seconds of viewing time when somebody approaches your work and you want to grab them, and you want to grab them with that thing that inspired you. So that's some of my advice.
And yeah, I mean, as you're saying this, I'm trying to imagine maybe the journey that you've gone through. I'm seeing this image here, the people of Pinnacle Point, I believe. And
Yes.
it seems to me to be like, I can't believe it's a painting. I can't believe that this is artwork. It seems to me to be an actual image of the night sky. And I see that all of the years of passion that you've put into this, that has culminated in such beautiful pieces. It's been so much fun talking to you and seeing all the works that you've done. And if you Slooh members that have you been watching this show, if you really want to see more of what Lucy West does, I recommend you head over to Lucy West Studios. She has a lot more of her work on that site. You can see that, and you can also support what she does. But I just wanted to say again, Lucy, thank you so much for joining us here on this show. It's been so much fun to talk with you about this
Oh,
stuff.
thank you. Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure. And yeah, just you Slooh members out there. I would love to hear what you thought about Lucy West's art and what she does. There's a chat box right next to the show, either to the right of your browser or underneath, or right to the right of the show or underneath the show, depending on how your browser works. But tell us what you think about this art, and tell us a little bit also about maybe how you express yourself creatively when it comes to the universe, because this is what we're all about here on Down to Earth, bringing astronomy to the concept of us, how we deal with astronomy, how it affects us, and how we in turn take astronomy in hand and maybe make something more out of it than there already was. Yeah, keeping moving forward. But thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We're always going to be around every week, same time, same place on slooh.com. But for now, this has been Eric Edelman, and you have been watching Down to Earth.